Alright, so today we're looking at section 7.5. Our title for today is Factoring Trinomials with a Positive Third Term. Our goal is the same as it is tomorrow. We are learning about factoring trinomials. So yesterday we were practicing finding the m and the a number. Two numbers that multiply to one number, add to another number. That was just to get us ready for this. So, remember, we already talked once about what the word factor means. If you're factoring something, you are rewriting it as a multiplication problem. So I'm going to give you a trinomial today, and you're going to rewrite it as a multiplication problem of two binomials. So it's undoing what we did in 7.1. So there's a whole lot of steps to this, but once you get good at it, it becomes pretty easy. They'll go really quickly. So please write everything that's on the board. And I will tell you that this only works when your x squared term doesn't have a number in the front. So if it was like 3x squared, this method is out the window. You can't use it at all. We don't look at those in this class, but if you continue on in your algebra career elsewhere, you will see ones that have a number right in the front. So you might say, man, this was so much easier when I did it with Mrs. Munden. It's just because we're looking at the ones with a 1 here. Having a 1 in the front makes it a lot easier. So those are the ones we're covering in this class. So in other classes, you might get a little more difficult. You are writing everything that's on the board. That's why we're sitting in silence. Alright, so the steps that we're going to follow here, just like yesterday, we needed an m number and an a number. The third term, so remember these are all trinomials, so they have 3 terms. The third term is our m. The number in the middle is going to be our a. And then you have to find that winning combination that multiplies to the m and adds to the a. Then we're going to write these numbers in binomial form. I'll show you what binomial form looks like on our first example. You're using those 2 numbers to write binomials. And then we're going to check our work. I always check my work just in my head. I think about, okay, if I double distributed these numbers back out, would I end up with the right combination? And hopefully you can say yes and then move on to the next problem. So notice that we have a trinomial. The first term is x squared, followed by an x term, followed by just a regular number, a constant. That's a good indicator that you are going to factor using the MA method is what we call this. So what is the m number? The third number, which is 15. What's the a number? The middle number, which in this case is 8. Then just like yesterday, you can use your factor sheet or you can make a list. There are 2 ways to multiply and get a 15. There they are. Do either of those add to 8?
Yes.
3 and 5. So here is where it gets a little tricky. You can't just put 3 and 5 as your answers because 3 times 5 gives you 15. It doesn't give you the rest of this stuff, all right? So we are rewriting it as a multiplication problem, but we need to get those x's. So we are going to have x plus one of the numbers, close the parentheses, x plus the other number, close those parentheses. We need two binomials being multiplied together. You guys may recall in section 7.1, I would give you a problem like this, and our answer usually looked like this, because we have x times x, which is x squared. Then you have x times 5, and 3 times x, that would give you 5x plus 3x, which gives you the 8x. And then 3 times 5 gives you the 15. So again, factoring just means rewriting as a multiplication problem. It's sort of undistributing, undoing what we did in 7.1. That is the answer. Now, today we're only looking at trinomials with a positive third term. When the last number is positive, both of these signs will be whatever the add number is. So if the add number is negative, but you're multiplying to a positive, both of your numbers will be negative. When they're both positive, in the answer, they're both positive. So hopefully we can get the signs straight. That's usually the hardest part of this. And remembering how to write it in the correct form. Once you have those things down, you are golden. Questions on number 1? Alright, let's go to number 2. As you're writing it, try to pick out the M number and the A number. Alright, what's my M? 3. What's my A?
4.
Negative 4. The only way to multiply to a positive and add to a negative is if they're both negative. There's only one way to multiply and get a 3, but we just said they both need to be negative. Does negative 1 plus negative 3 add to negative 4? Yeah, so this one's pretty easy because there's only one option. This is going to be x minus 1, x minus 3. Now, since we are talking about multiplication, multiplication is what we call commutative. It means that order does not matter. So if you want to write it like this, that's fine. If you have the terms flip-flopped, it's not a big deal. What is important, though, is that they're both negative. That's the only way we'll add to a negative and multiply to a positive. Double distribute to check. X times x is x squared. Then I'd have minus 3x minus 1x. That's how I'd get the negative 4x term. And then negative 1 times negative 3 is plus 3. So we are good. Alright, what's my M?
35.
What's my A?
12.
Okay. To multiply to a positive, they're both going to have the same sign. What are the signs going to be in this one? The same. Both positive or both negative? Both positive. You have to look to your add number to decide what they're going to be. They're both going to be positive. So I am only going to list the positive factors of 35. Do either of those combinations add to give us 12? 5 and 7. So as binomials, what would these look like? Very good. Don't forget your parentheses. Raise your hand if you have a question.
What is that?
I do not.
I just don't get it.
Which part did I lose you at?
How you gonna? Never mind. Okay. They need to do that. Oh, alright.
So this is the third number, this is the second number. These all came from your factor sheet, and then we just double check to see which one adds to 12.
Okay.
The factor sheet gives you all the combinations that multiply to 35, so you don't really need to check that part. That should be done for you. What you're checking from this list is the add part. All right, here's number 4.
We at 4? I'm still at 2. I'm sorry.
Well, just right where we're at and then go back and catch up. All right, what's my M?
24.
What's my A?
10.
So I'm going to use my factor sheet to list the ways to multiply to 24. I'm only going to consider the positive numbers because they're adding to a positive. So when the third number is positive, the signs are going to be the same. They're both going to be whatever you have right here. So I have 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Do any of those add to 10?
4 and 6.
4 and 6. Ding, ding, ding. Both positive, so x plus 4, x plus 6. Yeah, it's not too bad. Any questions?
Okay,
10.
Yeah, we can go a little bit faster though.
10 examples? All right, you guys ready for 5?
yeah.
All right, here's number 5. As you're writing this, try to figure out if you can determine what our signs need to be. So if I'm going to multiply to 33 and add to negative 14, what are the signs going to need to be? Both negative. So when I list the factors of 33, I'm going to list them as all negative numbers. There's only 2 combinations. Do either of those add to negative 14? Negative 3, negative 11. So I am going to write in binomial form x minus 3, x minus 11. All right, take a second to write this down. What's my M? Oh, hold on, sorry. Forgot to get my writing utensil ready. Here's M. M equals 28. A equals 11. The multiply number is positive, so that means our numbers are either both going to be positive or both going to be negative. What are you thinking on this one? Both going to be positive. So I'm going to list the factors of 28. All right, do any of those add to 11?
Oh, sorry.
4 and 7. So how will I write my answer?
Plus 4, next plus 7.
Very good. Good. This is one of those things where, like, once the light bulb goes on, like, you're probably going to get all of them right because it's the same process every single time.
It's like the same, just you just put it.
Yeah. Questions? All right, here's number 7. What's my multiply number? What's my add number? Okay, so if I want to multiply to a positive but add to a negative, they both need to be negative. So when I list the factors of 13, I'm only going to list the negative factors of 13. 13 is not on your factor sheet. When a number is not on your factor sheet, it means the only factors are 1 and that number. So hopefully that adds to the right number. We're kind of out of options. Does that add to negative 14? Yeah, so it worked out for us. So we have x minus 1, x minus 13. Remember, if you wrote it as x minus 13, x minus 1, it's the same thing. Order does not matter as long as you have the right signs with the right numbers. Raise your hands if you have any questions. All right, here is number 8. Take a second to write it down.
Did you put it on the test?
I mean, 3. 3 examples. We have example 8, example 9, example 10. All right, so example 8. What is my M? What is my A? They're both positive, so I'm only going to look at the positive factors here. I have 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. Which one of those adds to 7? 1 and 6. So X. Help me out. Plus 1. X plus 6. Good. No matter how many times we talk about it, someone will always turn it in like 1 and 6. That 1 and 6 doesn't multiply to give us this whole trinomial. All right, you have to write the x's. You have to write the parentheses. Don't do most of the work. This is the hard part over here. Don't do most of the work and then just write your answer wrong. That would be very sad. All right, here is number 9. So we have a negative. It's kind of, sometimes the PowerPoint makes them real little. I'm not sure why. What's my M? What's my A? So to add to a negative but multiply to a positive, what do I need? Both negatives. So negative 1 times negative 8 or negative 2 times negative 4. Yes, that one right there. So we have x minus 2 and x minus 4. Questions? All right, last one for the day. "24 always gets me. I mean, there's just so many factors of 24. All right, so I'll work on the list since it's always a long one. I guess there's not that many now that I wrote them out, but you know, this feels like a lot. Okay, do any of those combinations add to 14? 2 and 12. So my answer is going to be x plus 2, x plus 12. Alright, so tomorrow we're going to continue on with this. We're going to look at what happens, though, when you need one of each sign. We're going to look at the third term being negative. And then we're going to finish up the chapter on Monday. You can see you have a notebook quiz coming up and a test coming up. Those dates are up on the board, so check those out and keep those in mind. Here comes your homework.